This is section 2.5, part 5. This is the last little topic we're going to cover. These problems, I'll bring them both up, solve this formula for C. What makes this different from all the others, same type of thing happens here, is that we're not given any numbers. What we're being asked to do is we're asked to rearrange these formulas. Now, why might you want to do that? Okay, imagine real world, for whatever reason, you're going to have to calculate a whole bunch of perimeters. But instead of calculating perimeter, you're always going to be looking for the length. You're always going to have the width, you're always going to have the perimeter, but you're looking for the length. To do that calculation over and over and over again, you would have to plug in here, move things around, do all the algebra to find the length, and you would have to do the algebra over and over and over and over again. But if you know how to rearrange the formula, you could rearrange the formula and then just plug in numbers and just do arithmetic. You do the algebra once rather than every time. Okay, so that's why we do this kind of thing. All right, so solve this formula for C. This happens to be the perimeter for a triangle, and it's kind of a useless formula because the definition of a perimeter is to add up all the sides, and this says to add up all the sides. Okay, so basically what this is saying is I want to get C by itself. You kind of ask yourself, what would I do if these two things were numbers? Well, I'd add them together if I could, but I can't. So, what will we do? I want to get it away from the C. This is added. I'm going to subtract an A. And when I do it, I have to do it to both sides. So far, I have P minus A equal to, that canceled. So I have B plus C. Now I almost have C by itself. I also want to move the A. So what I did here is I moved this over to this side. Now I'm going to move the B over to this side. I'm going to subtract B from both sides. And I get that P minus A minus B is equal to C. If I need to find the length of one side of a triangle and I have its perimeter, I subtract the other two sides to find that length. That's all this is saying. On MyMathLab, if your variables are capital letters, you need to keep it capital. If they're lowercase letters, they need to be lowercase. It will count them wrong if you use the wrong case, and it's not just being picky, it makes a huge difference in some formulas. Okay. Solve V for equals LWH, length times width times height, for height. This is the volume of a box. We've dealt with it already. All right, so I want H by itself. These two things are multiplied by this, right? How do we undo a multiplication? We divide. Now this one up here I did in 2 steps. I could have subtracted the A and the B at the same time, but I didn't want to confuse you. Here I'm going to divide them in 2 steps, but you could also divide it in 1. I want to get the L away from the H, and this is all multiplication. So I'm going to divide both sides by an L. That's going to cancel out, and I have V over L is equal to WH. Okay, now if I want to get the W away, I also divide by like that. This cancels out, and I get V over LW equals H. Now if I did this in one step, and that's probably how most of you will end up doing it, it would just look like this. I would just divide both sides by LW since they're multiplied. Those would both cancel out and I'd get there in one step. That's all.